I loved this character so much that Sammy Birch wrote because it was so slippery. Like, she's so different with every person she's with. It kind of illuminates the level of performance in every woman's life. But of course, she's also an actress who's literally performing, but she really can like shift into different modes at different times. And so it was really amazing to get to explore those questions that you talked about like when is she telling the truth when she's performing all the time? When are the moments that are actually true, and who's she performing for? What's she trying to get out of her audience? Who's her audience? And then of course her techniques of investigating this character that she's studying, Gracie, that Julie plays, is obviously so unethical, the way she like enters into her life and then interferes with it. It goes so far beyond research that of course that's not something I endorse, but I found it interesting to explore.
And I think that, from an acting perspective, because I've been the person who's, knocked on someone's door and said, do you mind if I talk to you, or can I ask you a few questions? It was interesting that within this, I'm playing an actress who went to talk to a baker to learn how to bake a cake, and also to a florist to learn how to arrange flowers, and to get that particular language so that Natalie could watch me do those things and play the character that she's playing in the movie. So it went on and on and on, this kind of like always doing everything in parentheses. And when we were talking about Todd, he's someone who talks about context and identity all the time. Like, who are we? Are we who we present? How do we present it? In what world do we present it in? So all of those levels, I think, are present throughout the film and throughout our lives. And it was exhilarating to kind of be able to explore that. I trust his intelligence. I trust his interest in particular subject matters. It's not like he takes everything. He writes a lot of his own things, and when he does select something to do that he hasn't written, he's really, really particular about it. There's something that kind of rings a bell for him, and it's always very human and really interesting and provocative and compelling, But for me, he does so much of the work for me, even in the way he frames something. I remember even when I worked with him on Safe, he gave me a card of storyboard images that he'd drawn, and in each of those storyboards, those were all shots that we did. And we didn't deviate from them. Not like you wouldn't deviate, but it just worked. And each frame tells a story. And for me, knowing where I am in the frame, knowing where other things are in the frame, knowing what his point of view is, all of that informs my performance so much, and is so like it's like joyful for me to work that way. It frees me up.
Absolutely. I think there was one day on set that probably made him feel that especially, where the scene where I'm doing the interview with the acting students, the high school students, and they did a reaction shot on the kids, and they had already heard me say it like 1,000 times. So I started changing it up to try and get reactions from them, and it was fun because I was also getting reactions from Todd. I could hear him like cracking up behind me. And I think he knew on that day, which was, one of our earlier scenes. The whole movie was shot so quickly, but it's fun for me to play and to try and do things differently, and that's the fun of it. And I think I can only do that when I feel incredibly safe. And Todd is so kind and like unconditionally loving in the way he creates the environment, and also has such a vision of what he wants, and then peoples the scene with the most wonderful people also, who are extraordinary actors and artists and good people. And so that's when you can really like let loose and play and provoke and poke each other, and that's the most fun. That's when you're like, wait, did we get paid for this? Like this is like my favorite game.